The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well this evening. It's Brian from Horizon Support and Training, and tonight I'm really excited to be able to introduce to you both our special guest presentators, Alan Carson and Guardian Financial, as they're going to be able to discuss with you how to, pardon me, tongue-tied here, how to get paid every time and save money doing it. So we're going to be discussing the benefits of credit card payment collection. Now, before we jump into the actual presentation, what I would like to do is take a moment to explain the GoToWebinar control panel. In case any of you are new and joining us for the first time, well, you may not be familiar with what the control panel allows you to do. So first and foremost, you should see a control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, similar to this. With the control panel, you can expand or minimize it by clicking this orange button. If you have the control panel expanded, you're going to have access to an audio and question section. For audio, you can choose between computer audio and you can listen through your speakers. Alternatively, if you'd prefer, you can select phone call. There's a toll-free number. You can dial in and listen through your phone. Now, for questions, we do encourage you to ask questions at any time. However, you have to type your questions. So in the question box, simply type it and click send. Your questions will be stored until the Q&A period at the end of the session. Now, if anyone does experience technical issues during the presentation, like you're unable to hear me, the screen lags, something like that, I'm not going to be able to troubleshoot that during the presentation, but if you reach out to me, I'll be glad to follow up with you. We can troubleshoot it and ensure that the next presentation runs smoothly for you. Let's start with some introductions. So I've already mentioned that my name is Brian, and I'm with Horizon Support and Training. And it's my pleasure to be able to introduce to you our three guest speakers. First, we have Alan Carson, President of Carson Dunlop. How are you doing tonight, Alan?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thanks.
Excellent. Next, we have Aaron Furman, who is the co-founder of Guardian Financial. How are you doing tonight, Aaron?
Good, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. Do you want to just tell us a little about yourself, Aaron?
Yeah, sure. So like Brian said, I'm the co-founder of Guardian Financial. I've been married for 19 years now and have 5 kids. And myself and Ben, the next guest he's going to introduce, we started Guardian Financial back in 2001. So super excited to be here at the Toronto offices and for this opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Aaron. And we also have Ben, who's another co-founder of Guardian Financial. And Ben, how are you doing this evening?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Would you just tell us a bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, so like Aaron said, I'm the other half of Guardian Financial and also a proud father of 5 children, a native of Utah, but have called Idaho home for the past 20 some odd years. And but just loving being here in Toronto, enjoying this beautiful sunny day, and happy to be here in Horizon.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Ben. We're glad to have both you and Aaron here today. All right, so let's get ourselves into our agenda for this evening. Now, we do have 3 items on our docket. First up, Alan's going to speak about why you should accept credit cards. Then we're going to go into a bit of a tutorial. I'm going to explain how you can get paid with Horizon. Then Aaron and Ben are going to take over, and they're going to explain the advantages of Guardian Financial. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. And what I'm going to do is just segue over to Mr. Carson here.
Brian, thanks so much. And I wanted to start out by making sure everybody was in the right webinar, in the right room. And I wanted just to share with you the world of home inspection from my perspective. And this is my definition of what a day in the life of a home inspector looks like. And let me just go through what I think we do every day. So I'm going to say that home inspection is a business with illogically high liability, slim profit margins, and very limited economies of scale. It's an incredibly diverse, multidiscipline consulting service delivered under difficult in-field circumstances before a highly stressed, hostile audience with differing interests in an impossibly short time frame, requiring the production of an extraordinarily detailed technical report almost instantly, without benefit of research facilities or resources. Does that sound like your life? I find that home inspection is remarkable. And after 41 years in the business, it's become apparent to me that what you folks do is unique. And by that I mean I can think of no other service that provides the kind of value that you do. And you can start with the real estate transaction. For the fees that we charge, there is nobody who comes close to providing the value. And I'm thinking of real estate agents, appraisers, title companies, the whole group, the lawyers, the mortgage lenders. What we do is pretty special. And even if you look outside of the real estate transaction, I can't think of any engineers, architects, technicians, consultants that do the kind of work that you do under the conditions that you work in and provide the incredibly detailed technical reports that you do, typically same day or next day. I think we very often shortchange ourselves with respect to the amazing service that we deliver to our clients. I think sometimes our clients take us for granted, and I sometimes think we allow ourselves to be taken for granted. So I just wanted to stop and have you understand how special you are. All right, let's move on.
Apparently, folks, there was a little bit of a technical glitch with our first couple of slides there. We do apologize. I think there was some lag happening there. So we're going to, I think everyone should be able to see and hear now. We just saw in a comment that there was some delays on the screen sharing. Can everyone just let us know if they are able to see the screen? We want to make sure our internet connection is working safely here. Okay. Sorry, we not sure what was happening there, folks, but perfect. Excellent. I'm glad that everyone's able to see things. Sorry for that little technical difficulty there, folks.
All righty. Thank you, Brian. Technology is amazing when it works and a little frustrating when it doesn't. But so apologies for any glitches. We will press on and see what happens. All right, so let me turn my attention to accepting credit cards. And it's been fascinating talking to Aaron and Ben over the last little while about how many home inspectors are reluctant to take credit card payment. And I'm here to tell you that there's really two things in my mind. One is you absolutely have to take credit card payment, and two, you have to do it the right way. And let me talk a little bit about that. So to me, if you're running a home inspection business, if you're not taking credit cards, you're not looking as professional as you can. I think people expect a professional consulting service to take credit card payment, and I think it makes you look more professional, and it feels pretty critical to me to running a successful business to be able to get paid the way your clients expect to pay. And to me, clients want to pay by credit card, and I can tell you that with some authority because I'll show you a slide in a second that gives you an indication of what percentage of our clients pay by credit card. But the convenience of credit cards is one thing, the security is another. People love to collect the points, and they also love the deferred payment of a credit card. So you can get up to a month or so deferred payment by using a credit card, and most consumers love those features. I think we need to deliver on those requests. So at Carson Dunlop, 98% of our clients pay by credit cards. And it has been that way for a lot of years. We try to make it easy for our clients to do business with us. It's their preferred choice, and we feel like we need to respect that. It makes our lives simpler, and it makes our clients' lives simpler. The other nice thing about credit cards is that it's a very easy way to pay, and that also makes it easy for people to change the amount they pay and to pay a little bit more if a transaction evolves. And I'm thinking about offering ancillary services, for example, adding other things to your inspection. when somebody's asked to pull more bills out of their pocket or to tear up a check they've written and write a different check, it can get in the way. With a credit card, it's pretty seamless and easy to do. I think it's pretty important to get paid, and I think it's almost as important to get paid on time. And the terrific thing about credit cards is that you don't need to fuss about things like a check that bounces. Combining credit card payment with the way Horizon is integrated with Guardian Financial, it also gives you the ability to make sure that your client pays and you don't have to chase them. With the payment first option in Horizon, your client can't download their report, can't open the report, can't read the report until they've paid for the inspection. So it is pretty bulletproof and buttoned down that you're going to get paid for your inspection. There's a couple of other features to that. One is that it is absolutely no work for you to process the payment the way we have set up Horizon and Guardian Financial. The client does all the work, the client moves through at their pace, and the payment simply shows up. The other thing is avoiding the headache of standing there watching a client try to punch in a credit card number and have it not go through or have things declined and come back to the client. It's embarrassing for the client, it's awkward for us, and I'd rather not be part of that scene. The way it's set up, if people struggle to have their payment get through, they can go grab another card. We'll never know about it. They can take care of it whatever way works for them. And it all works very, very smoothly. Let's move on. So I'm going to add another layer to that. So I'd like you to get paid by credit card. I'd like you to get paid by credit card in a way that your client does the work and the processing. And in addition to that, I'm going to tell you that you really should be getting paid before you go out on the inspection. And if that sounds a little terrifying, I can tell you that we were terrified about it too, until we did it. And this little pie chart shows that 96% of our inspections, we get paid before we ever go out the door. We also get our contracts signed in the same process. So we tell people we cannot perform the inspection for them until they've paid for it and until they've accepted our agreement. People are so nervous about this, and I talk to home inspectors all across the country, and it makes them very uncomfortable. And as I say, it made us uncomfortable too until we swallowed hard and just did it. One thing you have to understand is that clients have no perception of how home inspection works. They don't understand the process, they don't understand the experience, they don't know what the report's going to look like or when they're going to get it. So we are the ones making the rules, and they typically follow them. So we think people are going to question us. It just hasn't happened. The other thing that I might say is that a lot of people now are getting paid before they provide their services. And let me give you 3 recent examples. Has anybody ever bought anything on Amazon? Does Amazon wait until they deliver the product to you and you tell them how happy you are with it before they bill you? I don't think so. Last week, I bought a barbecue at Home Depot, and Home Depot was nice enough to agree to assemble it and deliver it, for a fee, of course. Home Depot was funny. They insisted on getting paid when I bought the barbecue, not when I received it. Similarly, I bought some furniture accessories from Wayfair last week. That process, too, provided me only one option: pay first and then receive. It's the way the world works. And this being the 21st century and millennials coming into their home buying years, this is the world that they live in. This is what they expect. So to someone old like me, it may feel a little different to pay in advance, but remember that the younger generation is pretty used to it, and it is not going to be a disruptor. I know I'm not going to change everybody's mind in this conversation, but I would really love for you to give some serious consideration to getting paid before you go out on the inspection. And Horizon makes it absolutely dead easy to do that. So please give it a bit of thought. It is definitely worthwhile. The other nice thing about getting paid by credit card is to get rid of the bad debt headaches. And I won't go into a lot of detail here, but I can tell you for years and years, we would get paid most of the time by check, and most of the time it would be fine. But what we found was the small percentage of checks that bounced took a disproportionate amount of our time. We had to get back in touch with the client, figure out what happened, try and get another check, and sometimes we eventually got paid and sometimes we didn't. And I can tell you that since we have started getting paid by credit card, using the Horizon process for payment first, and getting paid before the inspection starts, we don't even have a bad debt column in our chart of accounts anymore. Our controller wrote me a note last month saying, what's unusual about working with Carson Dunlop is the absence of accounts receivable and bad debts. It's a great way to run a business. The last thing that I'll touch on with respect to credit card payment is the way that our team has integrated with Guardian Financial, and the convenience of how it all works is pretty cool. The fact that it happens automatically, you send it out to the client in your confirmation email, they get a link, they do the work, they process the payment, you get notified, and it just makes life so easy. The other thing is, if you have to get paid out in the field, Horizon Mobile makes that dead easy as well. And Brian's going to walk you through a little bit of how that works. So it is pretty simple to work with Horizon. And like every other feature in Horizon, everything is included. So you don't have to fuss with additional costs. And we work really hard to make life simple for you. And that's in part because we're doing it for Carson Dunlop as well. As far as I know, we're the only software company that has the privilege of having its own test bed of home inspectors. So our 17 Carson Dunlop inspectors using Horizon give us the opportunity to test out what works in the field, listen to clients, listen to agents, and try and deliver things that make sense for our business before we roll them out to yours. Okay, I'm going to step aside and let Brian talk a little bit about the how to get paid with Horizon kind of thing. And Brian, why don't you take over and show the folks how it works.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that, Alan. That was a lot of good insight into why you should be accepting credit cards and some of the benefits of it. And I mean, I'll keep my piece short and sweet. What we're going to go over is just some of the fundamentals on how you can get set up with Guardian, and then how you can accept credit card payments online as well as in the Horizon mobile app itself. So let's get ourselves into the two-step account setup process. Now, if you're interested in actually being able to process credit card payments with Horizon, you need to set up an account with Guardian Financial. Fortunately, the first step is incredibly easy. You visit their website, smallbizguardian.com. Now, we're going to send a follow-up email with a link to that, so be sure if you don't want to write it down, that will be contained in the follow-up email. But you visit smallbizguardian.com. If you actually type /Carson Dunlop, it'll take you right to our landing page. From there, you can see if you're a US resident, you can sign up at the top, or there's a toll-free number to dial in if you're in Canada. So you complete the registration, and literally inside of your account, step 2, you're going to copy and paste 3 codes. So you're going to get your merchant ID, your username, and your password. You're going to drop them into your Horizon account, and as soon as you click Save, you're ready to start accepting credit card payments. We've simplified the process to 2 steps, and at that point in time, both you and your clients are ready to start providing credit cards. Now, As far as actual payments are concerned, you can collect payments over the phone, you can collect them online, and you can use them inside of Horizon Mobile. The two most common methods would be online after contract acceptance or in the mobile app on site. Let's go ahead and look at how you can take a payment online. So first things first, what we're going to have to do is actually send out a confirmation email to our client. So I've opened up my account and I'm at the confirmation email screen. One of the things that I find that people forget to do is actually click this little button here. So to include the link to contract in your email. Without that, not only can your client not accept your contract, but they won't be able to provide payment. So we want to make sure that's checked. Then we're going to go ahead and send out our email. Once we've sent out the email, I'm sure everyone already knows what it looks like, but we've got a plain text email. That way you can open it from your phone, tablet, computer, pretty much anything with an internet connection. And right in the middle, we've got a link to the actual contract. So once your client opens up your contract, it's going to be branded with your logo. It's got the total fee present. And as they scroll to the bottom of it, there will be sufficient space for them to type their name and accept and then submit the agreement once they've read through it. After they do submit the agreement, they will then be thanked and prompted for payment. So you can see that literally it's a matter of putting in their name, clicking submit, and then going ahead and clicking pay invoice by credit card. Now, when it comes to processing this, you simply fill in the blanks and then you click buy now. At that point in time, your client will receive a thank you indicating it's been paid in full. Ideally, at this point, they should print or save a copy of the invoice for their own record keeping. Now, as the inspector, we don't expect you to have to keep going back into your account to monitor the activity of each of your work order statuses. So we actually send you out an email letting you know that it's been paid. So we give you the client, the payment amount, the date and time of the inspection as well. So you've got all the information at your fingertips. Now, the other common way is to collect payment on site. In an ideal world, going back to what Alan was mentioning, you shouldn't have to have this situation arise. But given certain circumstances, you may be lenient and be willing to accept the payment when you arrive on site. And Horizon Mobile has got you covered. So when it comes to Horizon Mobile, all you have to do is first open up the app and select the property or report that you're looking to inspect. Now, once you have Horizon Mobile open and you're at the house system screen, you're going to go to the menu. And inside the menu, we have our pay invoice option. Bear in mind that this only works when you're signed up with Guardian Financial, and of course, you need to be online for this to work. Once you select that, it will ask if you'd like to scan the credit card. It draws the amount from the actual invoice online. Once you click yes, you're going to be brought to a screen where you're able to actually scan the credit card. Now, you do need to have the green borders match, creating a complete rectangle. Some people are very hesitant to allow someone to actually scan the credit card. I know I wouldn't be too comfortable with someone doing that. So as an alternative, we have a keyboard option. And by using that, we're actually able to manually enter the details, or we can pass our phone over to the client. They can put in the details. And at that point in time, once they click done, it's going to process and then give us an acknowledgement if it's been paid successfully. So they can pass the phone back over. We can click OK, knowing that we've been paid. At that point in time, we have our payment collected and we can continue or commence rather the inspection. Now, Alan was mentioning the ability to restrict access to the report using payment first. This is a very convenient feature and one that everyone should enable. Now, when it comes to payment first, see, at times you may release the report before you've collected payment. Again, that's going to be probably a rare exception to the rule, but when those situations do arise, you want to ensure that the payment first is enabled so that way the client doesn't have access to the report and the onus is still for them to go ahead and pay you. Now with payment first, they get a bit of a nudge. So first thing I want to do is show you where you can enable that setting, and then we'll go through how it actually occurs for your client. Back in the profile section of my account, we're going to go ahead and look at our settings for the inspection fees and taxes. Once we're in that, we're going to scroll to the bottom of the screen, and at the bottom of the screen, we have a payment first area. There's actually two levels of restriction. We can lock down the report until the contract is marked accepted, or my preference, the one we're talking about, is the invoice marked paid in full. In fact, you could toggle both of those on if you'd like, but with this setting enabled, it's going to remind them that they have to provide payment before the report is available. So ultimately, we generate the report, we send out the email to our client, and what are they going to do? They're going to click on the link, and as soon as they do, they're told, hey, you got to provide payment. Now, we don't expect them to call back in to provide payment, although they're certainly fine to do so. In fact, all they need to do is go back to the original confirmation email. Inside the confirmation email, they simply click on the link to return back to the contract. Now, at this point, you may notice that the I have read is grayed out. We can't resubmit it. However, at the bottom, you can see here, click here to pay your invoice online. With that, you'll be able to process a credit card payment, and as soon as they do, they can return back to the report link and see the report in its entirety. With Horizon, we've made it incredibly simple to get yourself started and to accept credit card payments all along the way. Furthermore, we ensure that if you haven't got payment, you can still release the report and encourage the client to be proactive and resolve that situation in a timely fashion. Horizon's got you covered. Well, folks, I know that the main portion of tonight's presentation was focusing on Guardian Financial. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the reins over to Aaron and Ben, and they're going to discuss their services, and then we're going to get into a Q&A.
Great. Hey, we sure appreciate it. Thanks, Brian. Some great information there. We're really excited to be here and talk to you guys today. Some of the stuff that we're going to review, stuff that Alan already covered, but we want to go in a little bit more detail, but also want to make sure that you guys are aware. I understand that there's going to be home inspectors out there who already are accepting credit cards, and some of you don't accept credit cards and only accept cash or check. But the information that we're going to provide should be relevant for both of you guys, whether you're already accepting credit cards or not. But want to start with the importance of taking credit cards versus just cash or check. And really the most important reason is it should make you more money than it costs you. I realize that nobody wants to pay credit card processing fees. It's a cost of doing business, but it's not fun to pay them. But ideally, those processing fees should make you more money than they're costing you. And let me go over a few reasons why that's the case. First of all, if you book an inspection and do it the way that Alan recommended, where you're getting paid before you show up to complete the inspection, that customer's already paid. So if they go home and their real estate agent or their neighbor or their father says, oh, wait, you booked an inspection, you should use my guy, he's way cheaper, which definitely happens, right? So when that happens and they've already paid you for the inspection, they're much less likely to cancel and go with somebody else. So by reducing your cancellations, even if it doesn't happen a lot, if it happens a couple times a year, you can more than cover the cost of your credit card processing fees. The other thing is the time waste of chasing money. Obviously, anytime you're out there chasing money, or the headache or the hassle of dealing with that, is time that you could be doing inspections or working on reports and actually making money instead of chasing money. The other important part to remember, again, on that same note, saving time and hassle, is by integrating your services with Horizon and taking advantage of all of those features that Brian just went over. You're reducing the time while you're at the inspection site, and you're also reducing the time that you're having to deal with, whether it's going to the bank or anything else. So just saving that time and hassle, chasing money, going to the bank, collecting payment on site, waiting for the customer to get their checkbook out, all is things that, again, taking credit cards over cash and check can help a lot. But more importantly, and Alan touched on this, is that your customers should spend more and will spend more when they can pay with a credit card. And this has been proven time and time again in any industry. When you go to Vegas to gamble, you're not gambling with cash, right? They give you plastic. And the reason they give you plastic chips is they know that you're going to spend more when you're gambling with plastic chips versus with cash that you've got to pull out of your wallet. And it's the same regardless of where you go. If you're at a restaurant, you're going to tip more. You're going to buy more when you pay with a credit card. At the clothing store, again, you're going to purchase more. And as a home inspector, when you offer add-on services like radon or mold or termite or whatever it might be, anything where it's an additional cost or a choice, a purchase decision for that customer, if they know ahead of time that they can pay with credit card, they're much more likely to purchase those add-on services from you. So again, by increasing your average ticket, you can cover those costs of credit card fees. And then the final thing that I think is really important is you don't know what business you're not getting because you don't take credit cards. There's really no way to know that. But we know that millennials, and I'll show you some statistics in a minute, but millennials and that age demographic obviously prefer to use credit cards. And if you don't have those logos on your website or marketing material or truck or wherever it might be, they may be passing you up just because they don't see the logo. And also your referral partners, your real estate agents, those people who are sending business over to you, if they know you well and you don't take credit cards, they're going to know that, which means when they have a customer or a client who asks them if they can pay with their home inspection with a credit card, it's less likely they're going to send them your direction, and they will send them to the other guy. And again, that may not happen a lot, but if it happens a handful of times per year, you're more than covering your credit card processing fees. So here's some statistics to back that up. When you look at the age group of 18 to 33, 70% of them say that they will not do business with a company that doesn't accept credit cards. And from age 34 to 44, it's 58% of them will not do business with you if you don't accept their preferred form of payment, which is credit cards. And then with millennials, and I think we all know this isn't a surprise, right? 52% of them don't even own a checkbook. They couldn't cut you a check if they wanted to. So you're definitely missing out on business if you don't take credit cards, and you're missing out on increased sales if you're not pushing those credit cards to the customers. And so I would advise you to just experiment with that. Take a month or two, and instead of hiding away or shying away from offering credit cards, see what happens if you tell people right up front that you can take their credit card, and see if you see an increase in your average sale and those add-on purchases. So a couple things that, for those of you who don't take credit cards, this will be really important. And for those that do, I want to go over some things that you want to look out for. Whether you're going to set up a new account or you have an existing account, here's some things that I want you to go take a look at to see if you're paying these, and it might be a good reason for you to look elsewhere. First of all, a lot of credit card processors now have a club fee. So it's usually around $15 to $20 a month that doesn't kick in until usually your third month of having the account. And what they say is it'll give you free paper, which you probably don't need. Receipt paper, home inspectors don't need that. It'll give you insurance on your credit card equipment. Well, typically you don't have equipment. And if you do, it's a cheap little mobile card reader. So to pay $20 a month to insure it makes no sense. So go check and see if you're paying some kind of a monthly fee that you were opted into automatically after your third month. Early cancellation fees, if you cancel within the first 3 years, a lot of merchant accounts or providers are going to charge a big cancellation fee. Always run away from that. That gives you no leverage to leave if they start increasing your rates. PCI compliance fees, this is a new thing. PCI stands for Payment Card Industry. So the Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex got together several years ago and came up with they're called the PCI compliance standards. And basically it's the standards that you as a merchant have to abide by in order to be protecting your client's data, the credit card information. And so when those standards were first implemented, there was a lot of money that was spent from the processors throughout the United States and Canada in upgrading all of their systems to be compliant with those standards. And so they passed on a fee to you, the merchants. And it turned out instead of being a one-time fee to cover that one-time cost, they decided they liked those fees. And so a lot of processors are now charging monthly PCI compliance fees. And then if you don't fill out your annual PCI addendum, which is required, then they'll charge a non-compliance fee. Typically, compliance fees are $5 or more, and non-compliance fees are usually $20 or more, and that's every month. Look out for your monthly fees. Always a good idea to see if they've tacked any additional monthly fees on there. Gateway fees, if you've got a gateway that integrates into your software, a lot of them will charge some sort of a gateway fee. If you're on authorized.net, you're paying $5 to $25 a month just for your gateway fee. And then look at your monthly minimums and see what you're paying as far as a monthly minimum. And if there is one, that means that if you don't process anything, you want to find out what are you paying. And just to give you an example of this, here's a statement from somebody that's in the home inspection industry. She's been around for a long time, and I've known her for several years, and I kept asking her whenever I see her at the conference if we could take a look at her credit card processing, see if we can save her money. And she was absolutely convinced that she had a great rate. And it's true. If you look at her statement here, right up here, you can see she's paying 1/4 of 1%. And that's above cost. So in other words, she's paying the true cost from Visa, MasterCard, or that's called interchange, and 0.25%, which is a phenomenal rate. And that's what she told me, and she was right. That's a great rate. But what she didn't know was over the years, they started tacking on more and more monthly fees. So there's this $5.50 monthly statement fee, a $7.50 gateway fee. And then look at the kicker here. She had a $99 monthly non-compliance fee that she had been paying for years and didn't even know it. So altogether, she had $985 in credit card processing that month. Look at her total fees, $169. She was paying over 17% in processing fees, and she had no idea. And guys, as much as that sounds crazy, we see this over and over and over again. We know that you guys get busy, and it's really easy to just forget about it, because as long as it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that mentality when it comes to credit card processing can be really dangerous, as you can see from this example. So my suggestion, if you don't get anything else out of this webinar, take the time to go look at your statement and just do some really simple math. Take the total amount in fees that you were charged last month, divide it by the total amount in credit card processing, and figure out what that percentage is. And here's a good guideline as far as what you can kind of expect to pay. If you're somewhere between 2 and 2.5% on your swipe transactions, that's probably where you're going to end up. That's a good rate. Between 2.5% and 3.5% for keyed-in transactions is probably where you can expect to be. So when you do that simple math, then if you just did that every month, take a few seconds every month, do that simple math. Then if there's a $99 fee that kicks in like this one, you would immediately catch it. At that point, you can dig into your statement and see what's going on. But like I said, if nothing else, make sure you take the time to go look at your statement. And if you need any help with that, we're here to help. Okay, that's what we do. So feel free to just send us your statement. Don't worry about having to try and translate stuff. Let us do it for you, and we're happy to help you find out if what you're paying right now is a good rate. As far as some other things to expect on a merchant account, you're going to pay some sort of transaction fee, typically between 20 and 30 cents a month. Usually you're going to have a monthly fee between $5 and $10, and then a gateway fee. Like I said, somewhere between $5 and $25 a month is typical. Finally, PCI compliance or a non-compliance fee. Okay, that it has become kind of the industry norm. There's some out there that don't charge it, but typically you're going to see this as long as it's reasonable. May not be a reason to run away, but it's still questionable. And then finally, there's what's called an FANF, or a fixed acquirer network fee, which is relatively new from Visa in the last about 3 years, which is just a percentage that they charge above and beyond your normal percentage. And so you want to look for that. That's set by Visa, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's the same no matter where you go. So those are some things you can kind of expect when you're doing a merchant account. So let me just tell you some of the advantages of working with Guardian Financial. I think first and foremost, what truly sets us apart from everybody is that we only work with home inspectors. Literally 100% of our business and our focus is with you and your industry. So we understand your business, we understand your industry, and we understand your software. And we have complete integration with Horizon. So we walk you through the entire process, and we make sure it's super simple to get your merchant account tied in with Horizon. And because we understand it, if there ever are issues that arise in the future, we know how to fix them. Then unlike most companies, we're very unique that we can give you a gateway that integrates with your software, your Horizon software, and we can do it with no monthly fees. What that means is if you don't process anything, you don't pay anything. And that's very, very unique. And finally, we'll back that up with our $500 guarantee. If we can't save you money over your existing processing, we will give you $500. We're that confident that we can save you money every month. So just give us a chance, and we can for sure save you some money. So with that, I just wanted to say thanks to Horizon. I want to turn the mic back over to Alan, and he's got some other stuff he wants to talk to you about.
Thanks, Aaron. That's pretty cool. If anybody else here finds all of that stuff a little confusing and intimidating, I'm with you. But what I can tell you is At Carson Dunlop, we have the privilege of being able to do our homework. And so we did our research on credit card processing, and we have a controller, we have a bookkeeper, we have an accounting firm. So we drilled way down deep into it. And that was what led us to develop the relationship with Guardian Financial. So we have been working with them since 2014. And again, we work with them because they provide the best service out there. And part of the Carson Dunlop Horizon arrangement is that our obligation is to provide our Horizon partners with the best advice we can and share the best practices we have at Carson Dunlop. And that's the reason for this webinar tonight. You folks need to know that this is a system that makes really good sense for your business. And I would love for you to tell me if you can see how this doesn't make sense. Please let me know. Let me know what I'm missing, because every way I look at this, it's a win. And before I sign off, I just wanted to say one other thing. I'm going to hand it back to Aaron in a second for a final comment before we go to questions. But there was a comment that I didn't make about the wisdom of getting paid before your inspection. And that is, if you think about the end of an inspection, what typically happens? At Carson Dunlop, what typically happens is we take the 2.5 hours or whatever the inspection time has been of developing a great relationship with a client, and we end it with a handshake and a smile and a wish for them to have a terrific home ownership experience. If you haven't been paid at that point, that final moment is not quite so positive. You've got to ask them to dip into their pocket and pay you what they owe you. And I always found that was a less than satisfying way to end an otherwise positive experience. So when the payment is off the table, you can do a terrific job focused on the value that you provide, take care of your clients, and not spend the time or lose the positive feeling of a great inspection experience at the end. And I think that, Aaron, you have one more thing to talk to folks about.
Yeah, so one thing that we're doing that frankly we've never done before, maybe we've done it on a conference and offered it for a day or two, but we're doing something for Carson Dunlop and Horizon users that we've never done before, and that's a promotion where anybody who signs up with Guardian Financial between today and July 31st, we're going to give you a $100 sign-up bonus. And something to consider about that, that's basically your first $4,000 in credit card processing fees is on us, okay? Plus or minus a couple bucks. So a $100 sign-up bonus, we know that you're busy. We know this is kind of the worst time of the year to think about filling out an application, but truly it's so simple. In a matter of minutes, you can have this completed. You get $100 on us for doing it, and then you get to try it out. With us, it's a month-to-month contract. You're never locked into anything. So we're so confident that if you make this switch, you're going to save money and be satisfied with it. We'll give you $100 when you do it between now and July 31st. And it's really simple. Like Brian said, go to our website. You can see it on the screen, or call us up. You can talk to Ben or myself personally. We'll be the ones that handle the entire setup and transition process for you. And so you get direct access to us, and we'll make sure that we take care of you one way or another. So again, really want to say thank you to Alan and to Brian and to the Horizon team. This has been a great experience, and we're super excited to work with you. Please give us a call. Let us know how we can help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ben. I know we've got a lot of questions coming in, so we're going to go and take a few minutes to address those. So just give me a second here, folks, while we pull up our question sheet. Perfect. So we're just getting our questions ready, folks. Just bear with me one second here, everyone. So William Kading had asked a question with regard to Square. he charges, or rather he is paying 2.5%. He wants to know what roughly your fee would
Sure.
be in relation to that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So with Square, actually, Square has two rates. They actually charge 2.75% if you swipe it and 3.5% if you key it in. Okay, so our rate structure is a little bit different. When you're processing with Horizon, everything is non-swiped. So there's no such thing as a swiped transaction like with Square where you get that better rate of 2.75. However, our card not present or non-swiped rates are actually lower than Square's swiped rates. So we have three rate categories. It's either going to be 1.7% for debit cards, 2.69% for credit cards, and then if it's a corporate or an international card and some of the high tier rewards cards, you're looking at 3.29%. But on average, you're going to pay about 2.7% for our transactions, which again, when you compare to Square, they're at 3.5%. So we're going to save you money over Square. But more importantly, I think you get all those integration tools with Horizon that's going to make your life a lot easier and give your customers the ability to pay upfront and in a more convenient method.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Darren. William, I think you have a follow-up to that. I'll get to that in just a moment. Jeremy has a question here with regard to enrollment. Is there a step-by-step tutorial available, something that will allow them to walk you through it? Or I know you mentioned that you guys would be willing to walk someone right through it, correct? So,
yep. Yeah, it's really easy. It's a different process for Canadian users and US users. For the guys in the United States, it's literally fill out a form online. There's no documentation to send in, nothing to scan an email. You just fill in the blanks online. It takes you a couple minutes. Canada doesn't allow electronic signatures for any banking relationship, which is what this is. So there is a PDF document that you need to fill out. But again, you can do it in a few minutes and then we'll take care of the rest. So the best thing to do, just go to our website there, fill out that quick form where you just put your name, your phone number, your email address, and your business name. That'll send us a notification that you're interested. Then we'll contact you and get you everything that you need in order to get set up.
perfect. And just to let everyone know, anyone who shows interest, be sending the information along to Guardian as well. So they'll have your information and you can also follow up on their website. William asked a follow-up to that. What are your monthly fees?
Okay, great question, William. There are no monthly fees. So a lot of people don't believe us because that's just so unique in this industry, but no monthly fees. If you don't use it, you don't pay anything.
Hey, everyone likes not having to pay for something. Now, a question came through from Kevin, and he actually mentioned that he applied a few days ago to Guardian, and he wanted to see if he could still take up on that incentive.
That's a good question, Kevin. Since you're on this webinar, absolutely.
Excellent. You know what, Kevin? They're taking care of you. Perfect. Glad to hear. Okay, and how long does it roughly take to process? I'm assuming, just Kevin, if I'm wrong, interpreting this, I'm assuming receive the funds into your account after the transaction.
Yeah, so if any transaction that you do before 7:45 Eastern Standard Time is going to be in your bank account the next business day.
Excellent. I have Spencer asking a question about debit, Canadian banks as well. Now, because he's referencing Canadian, I think maybe interact with.
Okay. Yeah, so debit card's a little bit different. In the US, almost every debit card, in fact, I think every debit card will have a Visa or MasterCard logo on it, which means you can run it just like normal. You'd run it as a credit card like any other transaction, and those transactions would fall into that lower category, the 1.7%. In Canada, it's the same as far as any debit card with a Visa MasterCard logo on it as well can still be ran normally. However, Interac is not going to work. With Interac, you've got to enter a PIN number into a PIN pad, which is not an option, and so you would not be able to accept those type of cards through the Horizon software.
Perfect. I do appreciate the level of participation everyone is asking. I assure you we'll try our best to get to all the questions. They keep coming through, so I am just trying to filter through and see what we can address or what we might have already. Kelly asked a question, and this may be slightly repetition for what we've talked about before, but good for reinforcement. So we've sort of talked about processing costs and rates, but and the deposit timeline. However, is there a back end for possible chargebacks?
Okay, so just so people are aware what a chargeback is, there's sometimes people get confused between a refund and a chargeback. So those are two different things. A chargeback is when a customer is unsatisfied with the transaction or feels like they should not have been charged at all, and they call the number on the back of the card to dispute the transaction. That's a chargeback, and there is a system that you need to go through in order to dispute that chargeback and win. But that's very, very rare in the home inspection industry. If you're referring to a refund, then yeah, it's really simple. We give you an online portal. It's included with your account for free. You go in, you log in, you can pull up all your transactions. They're just at a glance, really easy to find. Click on whatever transaction you want to issue a refund to, and then click the refund button, and it'll give you the option to do a partial refund or a full refund. It takes a couple seconds. It's real easy.
Perfect. I just want to clarify on that is not a capability within Horizon directly. You have to do that through your CardPoint account.
Correct. Yep.
Another question came in, and this question is from Dan with regard to using Guardian, but having been on good old authorized.net. Okay. What's the process? Do you need to set up a new account? What's the steps there?
So Dan, if you're already with us, give us a call. Same deal applies to you. Authorized.net is an older kind of a legacy gateway. Our new gateway is the one that has no monthly fees, and that new account is the one with no monthly fees. It's a real easy transition to switch from one to the other. So just give us a call and we can switch you from authorized.net to our new, it's called CardPoint is the new gateway. And that's where Horizon is putting their development time and features are all going to be on that new CardPoint gateway. So yeah, give us a call. We can switch you from the legacy version of authorized.net over to the new gateway.
Perfect. And just a friendly reminder for everyone, I will be including everyone's name and contact information over to Guardian. So in case there's any questions we're not able to tackle tonight, or you want a little more information, they're going to be able to reach out to you. And obviously you can reach out to them as well. But they will be able to get all your information. Now, Matthew has a question. And do we incur additional charges for manual input of the card?
That's a great question. And normally that would be a yes, right? With most merchant accounts, you pay one rate for swiped and then a higher rate for keyed in. Because we know how Horizon works and we're aware that you're not going to have any swiped transactions, all of the rates that we're quoting you are based on the fact that you're going to be keying in those transactions. And when I say key in, there's a couple different ways, right? It's not just you keying in the transaction. It could be your customer clicking on the link and they're entering their credit card data, which is the ideal way that this is going to happen. Or when you're on site and you scan that credit card. And I think it's important, just as a side note, when you're scanning that credit card with Horizon, it is not taking a picture of the credit card. All it's doing is scanning for the data and inputting that into the software. So, but that's still not considered a swiped transaction. And so all of those rates I quoted you are the rates. The only thing that's going to differentiate between which rate you get charged, what rate you get charged is what type of card it is. Is it a debit card, a credit card, or a corporate or international card?
Fantastic, and thank you for touching on that because two gentlemen, Matthew had a subsequent question and Nick about the actual process with Horizon. Is it considered swiped or scanned as we have that, that little box that we utilize? So again, that is considered a keyed in, right? Not
Correct.
A swipe card.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Just 1 second here, folks. So a question came through with regard to being offline. Now, obviously there's no real remedy for that. You just don't work offline, right? I would say that in that situation, knowing sort of Carson Dunlop best practices, try to encourage and provide payment in advance of the inspection online. So, I mean, ultimately, if you're out in the field and you've got no internet connection and they try to propose paying then, you're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place and you've got to make your own decision. But at the very least, with how Horizon's built out, you have the opportunity to collect payment before, while you're on the phone, or prior to the inspection commencing online. I'm not sure if you have any other suggestions or things for that, Alan or Aaron?
No, and the client, remember we have the payment first facility. So if the client can't pay conveniently on site, the world does not end. So the client can go back home, they can go to a coffee shop, anywhere where they've got internet connection, they can pull up the email, click on the link, and go ahead and pay. They can wait till they get home. They can wait till that evening. At Carson Dunlop, we deliver the reports the same day as the inspection, so the client can go home. When the report is there, they'll be gently reminded that they haven't paid yet. They'll be online, and they can pay then. So it's really no problem. You don't need to actually be peering over their shoulder while they're keying in the credit card payment. You're going to get paid either way.
Yeah, but I think a important thing to note is if it didn't work through Horizon because you were offline, it wouldn't have worked through your other processor. Whatever other system you were going to use is going to need to send that data out one way or another. So it wouldn't have worked any other system either. The advantage of Horizon is you can just tell the customer, hey, I don't have coverage right here. I'm going to go ahead and finish the report, send it over to you. There's going to be a link you're going to have to click on to pay for it. That'll unlock the report. So that versus any other system, what you probably would have had to do is write down the credit card information so that you can run it later, which is a big no-no. When we talked about those PCI compliance standards, one of the biggest, most important things that they're requiring you not to do is to ever write down credit card information. That's just a big no-no on the standards, and it opens you up to all sorts of liabilities. So with Horizon, you don't have to worry about writing that data down so that you can run it at a later date. You just tell them, hey, you're going to get the report tonight, click on the link, pay for it. That'll unlock the report, and that relieves you of having that liability of having to write down the credit card information.
Hey, that's some great information. Thank you both, guys. Now, Kelly asked a question. West Coast hours for customer service? What are your hours of operation?
Yep. So we're both from Idaho. So we're sales and support. Sales is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Our support is 24/7, 365. So you can call it anytime, anything you need for technical support. Customer support is 24/7. But like I said, as far as sales go, we're Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Excellent. Thank you. Tom just basically said they arrived late. Guarantee you, my good man, we're going to have this available on our YouTube channel. The goal is to have it up by tomorrow afternoon. We'll be sending out an email to everyone in attendance, or rather who registered, so they will have access to that, and you'll be able to watch the recorded version from there. So stay tuned, Tom. That will be available in our follow-up email, and you should be getting that about midday tomorrow. Two individuals asked, and we'll start with one. John had a question. Can I sign up now even if I'm a new inspector not making any money?
Yep, that's the beauty of having no monthly fees. Go ahead and get signed up for it, get it turned on, get it ready to go. That's one less thing you've got to deal with when you're ready to go out and start doing inspections. So get that done on your checklist, and then have it sitting there waiting for you when you're ready to go.
Jim asked a question about please clarifying what you said about Interact debit transactions and their facility, or Interact, there's two questions, pardon me. So please clarify what you said about Interact debit transactions.
Okay, so Interact requires a PIN number in order to process it. The way, at least that's how I've understood it, is you've got to enter a PIN number. There's no way for you to enter a PIN number through Horizon. That takes an encrypted piece of equipment, which is a PIN pad. And so with Interact, there's just no way to accept it through our service. So any other debit card that has the Visa MasterCard logo on it, we can run through our service.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Gentleman asked a question. I'm sorry, I just lost it there. Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, Dan. Definitely didn't mean to forget your name there. Dan asked a question, or rather said that he has about 90% of his clients pay by e-transfer, and very few tend to ask about credit cards. Do you offer that method, and why do you feel that perhaps credit cards are a superior method of payment versus e-transfer?
Yeah, and I don't know that they are superior.
Okay.
No, we don't have the e-transfer offer, but I think what's important is that you give your customer the ability to pay with their preferred method of payment. Having that option available to your customers, that's definitely something in Canada we've heard a lot about, and there's a lot of questions about and interest in. It's just not something that's available right now for us. But again, giving your customer the ability to pay with their preferred method of payment is super important.
Let me just throw in a comment about e-transfers, and that is, as a consumer, if my choices are to pay by e-transfer or credit card, I'm going credit card 10 times out of 10. I want that deferred payment. I want the points on my card. And I feel the same way about paying with a debit card versus a credit card. I would think that the majority of consumers enjoy the deferred payment of typically at least 4 weeks and often more, and want to get the points on their card. We have a lot of our clients who are fanatics about the points. So If your clients want e-transfer, absolutely agree with Aaron. Yeah, you make their life as easy as you possibly can. That's the goal of being in a customer service business. But we find that our clients prefer and ask for a credit card. So it may depend on where you work, it may depend on your client type, but yeah, I would tell my kids not to do e-transfer if they can pay by credit card. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I think it also goes back to the point we made earlier. If I understand correctly, an e-transfer is pulling money directly out of their bank account, right?
Correct.
And so that's very similar to paying with cash. And so that's cash out of their bank right now. And again, people are willing to spend more on credit cards. So you might be a great test case to go out there and see what happens if you offer credit cards exclusively and see if your average transaction goes up and put that to the test. Are people spending more money and purchasing more add-on services because they can defer that payment and get their points, and statistically they do. So see if that works.
Perfect. Spencer asked a question, sort of two-sided. So I'm going to address from the Horizon side, if you can address from your side. Asked, if a transaction doesn't go through in Horizon Mobile, say things are dropped, does an error code or reference code appear? Can we call a number with the code to finish the transaction? So I know on our side that if the transaction is not successful, you get a little notification on screen that the transaction failed. From your end, I don't know what visibility you see into that failed transaction.
Yeah, you're going to know one way or another if it was approved or declined. There's really no question about that. It tells you instantly that card was approved and you have an approval number, and then you're going to get a notification from Horizon that person's paid, right? So there's no question whatsoever. If it was declined, you're going to get a message that says that transaction was declined, and you're going to know that. So there really isn't any ambiguity there. You're going to know if the money's on the way or not.
And essentially, if it ever does fail, there's not really a circumstance where it would have grabbed the money somehow, and there's open visibility.
And that's a good, I'd never say it's 100% going to work every time. That's how it's worked all the time, but something could happen. The nice thing is we give you that web portal, that the free access to there. You can go in at any time from your phone or any online device, log into your account, and you can see the exact real-time status of any transaction. Was it approved? Was it declined? Is it pending? So you can see all that information. So if you ever do a transaction and you're just wondering, well, I'm not sure, that something weird happened or my internet dropped or cut out, go log into your portal, check out that transaction and find out what happened. But Horizon's not going to mark it as paid unless they got a response code back saying that it was paid. So if you look in Horizon and it shows it's paid, then it's done. You don't have to worry about it.
Sweet, thank you. William has a question about large volume. If we do a larger volume, do you have a different rate or more competitive rate?
Yep, so that's a great question, William. I'm glad you brought that up. So we feel like our standard rates are very, very competitive, but that's not to say that one of you guys might have a better rate than what we're offering. So we do have a rate match guarantee. I mentioned that earlier. You send us a copy of the statement, we'll get you a proposal back. If we can't save you money over what you're paying currently, then we give you $500 just for giving us the opportunity to give you a proposal. But we are confident that our default rates are good. But absolutely, if you've got high volume accounts, and we do have the largest home inspection firm in the country is using us, so we can handle very large volumes, and we will absolutely be competitive in our rates, whatever we need to do to make sure we earn your business.
Dan has a question about not writing down their CC number. Can they call me and I input it in the online portal? Is that construed as the same way as writing it down?
Nope, that's how you need to do it. Yeah, don't write it down. If for some reason somebody calls you over the phone, you're going to want to open your Horizon software. You're going to go into the payment section. You're going to enter the credit card information directly into Horizon, which is a safe PCI compliant portal, and then you're totally within compliance doing it that way.
And I might just add, Aaron, that our customer service representatives do that fairly frequently for clients. If the client wants to pay by credit card, but they don't want to go through the work of entering it themselves, they can read us the credit card information and we can input it for them. We have some clients who know their credit card number and expiry date, so if they're in their car talking to you hands-free, they can't be online, but if they can give you that number over the phone, we can credit or process the thing just the same way you talked about. So yeah, that happens quite regularly here.
Yep, and that's totally within compliance. It's no problem doing that.
Perfect. Well, folks, we've got 5 more questions that I'm going to address. I know we've gone over the 9 o'clock time. I do appreciate everyone sticking with us and participating, but I want to be respectful of your time. So we're going to just take a couple more questions. We are going to end the session at that point. But again, any questions that are not addressed, I think we're going to get everything tackled, but I will be providing all of your information to both Aaron and Ben. They'll be able to follow up with you and address any other questions we might not have got. And anyone who asks specifically to be reached out to, we'll make sure that you get that call. Spencer asked a question about our exchange fees with you US based.
It's going to be based on whichever system you're using. If you're in Canada, everything's going to be in Canadian dollars. If you're in the US, everything will be US dollars.
Awesome. Dan asked a question. My average inspection is $500. How much would a credit card payment cost?
Great question, Dan. So typically you're going to be, again, it's going to depend on which type of card. If it's a debit card, you're 1.7%. But on average, you're going to be about 2.7%. So on a $500 inspection, you're $12.50 on average, plus or minus, but that's a good rule of thumb.
In an ideal world, we're going to obviously process the payment directly within inside of Horizon because that has the integration capabilities. But William did ask, is there an app outside of it that they can use on the phone?
Yep. And so there are obviously some guys out there have little handyman business on the side, right? Or they're doing something, maybe they need to run a credit card. Now, I'll kind of close my eyes and look the other way when you do that, because technically you're only supposed to run your credit card for the SIC code or the business code that you're set up under, the MCC code. But it happens all the time. And yes, we do have a portal with a virtual terminal that allows you to go there and process payments directly, and as well as a separate mobile app that you can process payments on if you need to.
Kelly asked a question about PCI compliance. So I've already completed the PCI compliance process with my current processing company, Fat Merchant. Is that transferable?
It's not. So you do have to do it with us as well. It's about a 15-question questionnaire. Every answer is going to be no. It just takes you a couple minutes, but it is something you're going to have to. Each credit card processor is required to have that PCI addendum completed and on file for each one of the merchants. And if they don't have, they can only have a certain number of them that are not within compliance before they go out of compliance. So they're going to require that you do that PCI addendum, but we try and make it really easy. You can do it all online electronically.
Thank you. Vaughn has a question here, and how to deal with an agent wanting to prepay for our client.
Are you asking if you're asking to actually have the agent pay for your client?
They want to pay on behalf, like a pre-listing or something of that nature.
Yeah, you should be able to go through Horizon and run it through Horizon just like you would any other report or inspection, assuming the real estate agent has the payment link. It doesn't matter who clicks on the link and pays for it.
I will say maybe there's a technical caveat to that. Due to how the thing's phrased, we require contract acceptance prior to it, and he wants the client to accept the contract, not the agent. So I think in that regard, from Horizon, there is the inside the work order, the online payment option. Outside of that, I guess feeling that they'd have to go to the card point side, right?
Yeah, I guess. So there is a way for them to do that. And within card points, you have the ability to, like I said, there's a virtual terminal where you can enter that credit card information from the real estate agent and let the real estate agent pay that way. And there's some other tools we've got as well. If that were to something that were going to happen often with a particular real estate agent that you have where they're paying for that, you can actually, we've got a secure system that's PCI compliant that allows you to store that real estate agent's information and credit card information and go back and bill that credit card whenever needed. So that's an option as well.
William was asking, he sort of wanted to supplement his last question, just saying due to his area, a lot of rural environments where he's going to be offline. Unfortunately, there's not really a good workaround for that, William. One of the things I would really encourage you to try to do is position the online payment options before you get out in the field, going back to the actual contract acceptance and then providing payment through there, or the payment first. In your circumstance, obviously then you're still going out doing the inspection and sending out the report. It's not accessible until they provide payment, so you still have a little bit of a contingency and safeguard, but just due to that circumstance, from my understanding, I believe you would actually.
So there is, if that were to happen a lot, we do have voice authorization. If you needed to, there's a 1-800 number you can call, and you can enter it's just an automated system that allows you to call in, enter the credit card number, the expiration date, the dollar amount, the address, zip code, and the address numerals. So if it's 1234 Main Street, you type in 1234. So you can do that all on the phone, and you can process the card. So if you have a dial tone, you can still run a credit card. It's not super smooth. I mean, if it were to happen a lot, that's something that you could do. Normally, I would say, though, just send the customer the inspection report, have them click on it so that they can pay for it and unlock it. But that is an option too.
I might go one step further or one step back, depending on how you look at this answer, and say, if you work in a rural area where you know you're not likely to have internet connection when you're out in the field, when the inspection gets booked, I might say, I want to make sure you have the opportunity to pay by credit card because that's important to most of our clients. And as a result, most of our clients prepay for their inspections, so we can do that for you now. We'll send that off to you. You can process it now, so we don't have to fuss out in the field with the inability to process the payment the way you want it done.
Yep, and that's a good point too, Alan, that within Horizon, you can customize what that email says that goes out. So however direct or forceful you want to be, and like Carson Dunlop, where 98% of their transactions are paid with credit card, a lot of that has to do with the language that they put in the email that goes out. So you could easily put some language in there that says, hey, you're in a rural area. A lot of times we don't have coverage. You're probably going to want to pay with a credit card. If that's the case, I would click on this link and pay for it now. So you can customize that language however you want based on your business practices in your area.
Excellent. That's a really good idea. And I mean, you could even set that up through Horizon Marketer if you set up a line item that said perhaps, rural or something, put it at a $0 amount and it would auto trigger. So there's a number of ways you could approach that, William. And if you would like to discuss sort of offline some more of the Horizon capabilities on how you could sort of automate that, you can always reach out to me and we could do a one-on-one. It's not really actually a question, but I think it's going to echo some of what we've been talking about tonight. Paul mentioned that he's been a customer for over 3 years. 76% of his jobs are now paid by credit card and 70% before the inspection. So that's a huge.
That's great, Paul.
Well done.
And I think that echoes exactly what you feel is absolutely critical for your business, what you feel is necessary for a successful home inspector. So I'm glad, Paul, you're following the best practices. That makes me happy to hear. And hopefully everyone else has, gleaned some great insights from tonight's presentation. At this point in time, I think we have been able to actually address all the questions. And well, let me see here. Kelly mentioned that he was trying to go to your landing page, and it did a page.
You're missing a hyphen in between Carson and Dunlop.
Oh, my apologies, everyone. Just give me a second. I'm going to correct that right now. We'll get it on the website here. A little bit of egg on my face here, folks. Just give me a second here.
Yeah, and if you just go to smallbizguardian.com, go to the Partners tab, and then select Carson Dunlop, that'll get you there as well.
Oops, a hyphen, you said, not a dash. I'll put that back on screen. Sorry about that, folks. I'm switching my screen here.
On the upside, Ben, that's pretty amazing that you noticed the missing hyphen.
Yeah, where are we?
You guys are a little detail oriented. I love it.
So that's the website, gentlemen, is smallbizguardian.com/Carson tongue-tied here, Carson-Dunlop, and everyone's going to get there. So at this point in time, folks, sorry, just got a couple more questions there. All right, so everyone who just posed a question, I do apologize, but in the interest of time, everyone's, I'm going to be ending the session at this point, but thank you so much for your participation. I assure you that any question or request for outreach, I'll be providing them to Ben and Aaron. They'll be able to follow up with you. Again, there is the website in case you'd like to start the process immediately on your own. Otherwise, they'll certainly be in touch. Please stay tuned. We will have our replay available as of tomorrow afternoon. We'll send that in the follow-up in case anyone would like to rewatch this. And if you do need more information about Guardian services, please feel free to reach out to them. They're there to help. And if you need anything from us, we're always here to help as well. Any closing words, gentlemen?
No, we sure appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time, and we hope you have a great evening.
Quick thank you to Brian, our facilitator tonight. Appreciate all the technical support, the lead-in, the question handling. Well done. And special thanks to Aaron and Ben for coming a long way for this presentation. Appreciate working with you guys. It's you make it real easy.
Well, thank you,
Thank you
Alan.
for having us.
Yep, it's been great.
All right, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you for choosing Horizon. Have many successful and safe inspections ahead. And don't forget to get credit card payments. Have a good night, all.